Hello, 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 and good evening. Welcome to episode 2 of the Patriot Princess podcast, my P3 podcast, which just makes me think of Charmed. Oh, so witchy. I love it. Hey, quick disclosure, we're going to talk sexual dysfunction on tonight's episode, so trigger warning. We're not getting into anything very graphic at all tonight, but just trigger warning. We're going to be talking about sensitive subject over the next few episodes. So if that's something that you are not prepared to discuss or listen to yet, then feel free to dip out if we touch on anything that bugs you, or dip out now if it's just not your vibe. That's up to you. And here we go. So I want to talk about how we create peace in our country, and it ultimately leads me back to the fact that America has a sexual dysfunction issue that is preventing us from being at peace with one another because it has so drastically manipulated our energetic balances between masculine and feminine, the way that we respect each other sexually, the way that we respect sex, the way that we treat rape, sexual trauma, and PTSD related to sexual trauma in our country, through the medical system, through the legal system, all of it. Period. I planned on going into this discussion tonight with a totally different approach. And this is what it boiled down to. And I've come to this conclusion through my own healing process and through my own spiritual awakening, spiritual ascension, and through tapping into my psychic abilities, the oneness, and my connection with spirit and with our galactic benevolent guides and brothers and sisters and soul tribe. Like, it all just boils down to, hey, America has been put, wow, the earth has been put in dysfunction. But the key to most of it is that we're out of balance in our energies. And as within, so without, as above, so below. That doesn't just go for people, that goes for our environment as well. So when our energies are out of balance, so we're misusing Mother Earth. Her energies are out of balance. We're abusing Father Sky. Their energies are out of balance. And it has an ultimate effect on Earth and all of us. We're the children. Actually, I'm going to rephrase that. We are the stewards of Mother Earth, of planet Earth. We are charged with taking care of her, respecting her, utilizing her bounty and her gifts in sacred reciprocity. And then that vice versa goes for people. That's how we're supposed to treat each other, with sacred reciprocity. And the entire world is involved in this, but I'm specifically like focusing on America right now in this one as Patriot Princess because it is hitting home for me in a sense where, not just home, I mean, I am home, but I am angry with love for the way that our our children are being affected in the end, and the way that we've allowed ego, anger, emotion, and this imbalance in our energies and inability to work through things with unconditional love has put us in a position where, like, literally, we're willing to turn on each other. Like, the father of my children is willing to completely turn on me, put me in a situation of psychological, emotional, financial abuse, and then turn around and say, I didn't do anything to you, and I'm going to take your kids away from you because I'm angry that you're leaving me. And living in a world where that's acceptable in a court of law, where that's acceptable as like just typical, and we deal with it and we don't do anything about it. And I'm in a situation where I've actually lost custody of my children. And again, I know this is all part of the plan because I'm here with a bigger purpose. And this is, part of what I am bringing to light to people, for people. Um, but yeah, where's the sacred reciprocity here? And granted, my story is kind of out there, but not kind of out there. I mean, it sounds out there to people who don't remember who we are as supernatural beings and what we're here on the planet for. And I'm one of them, and I'm married to somebody that doesn't because he's stuck in the matrix. He's stuck in low vibration, and I was for a long time. I was stuck in functional alcoholism, trying to figure out why the fuck my life didn't make sense. Do you hear me stuttering? Because as I get closer and closer to talking about traumatic things, um, that stutter comes up. It's from a past life too. It's come up in past life regression therapy. And I always think of the movie It, where the one guy once, he gets the call that Pennywise is back. All of a sudden, a stutter starts coming back, and the stutter was from his childhood during his mom always used to yell at him and shit, and he had a stutter. Um, but that is, yeah, that comes out when I'm having some sort of trauma come up. But yeah, I was raised in my life to be a people pleaser. And it's not just me. We're doing this across the board to our children in America right now. Not just right now. It's been happening for decades, for centuries. We've been fucking brainwashed, people. I mean, this isn't new news. We're just starting to wake up. It's the Great Awakening. It's the Great Reset. It's here. And it's here. And we are laughing, trying to through it. And I know that I'm here with a bigger purpose for this, but literally, we are breeding our children to be people pleasers. We're breeding our daughters to be people pleasers. We're breeding our sons to be controlling, king of the castle, vindictive style rulers, controlling rulers, instead of loving, affectionate, allowed to have feelings and emotion type of providers for their family. And I apologize for any noise that you hear in the background right now because, again, I'm in total like spirit led mode right now, and I am making eggs. I just intuitively got up out of my seat where I was recording and started making eggs. Um, Apparently, I need some protein. So, where was I? The awakenings here. We're fucked everybody up. Not we. The low vibrational extraterrestrial entities that have had us all brainwashed under mind control, running the global elite, are the global elite, are pretty much Hollywood for entertainment purposes only. Is that what I'm about to say? Is that what I'm telling people? Uh, so I'm gonna eat that. Um, Yeah, I just dropped them out the window. I am in this position right now where, yes, I've lost custody of my kids, and it is pretty much because being raised as a people pleaser. Oh, that's where we were. Yes. Our daughters have been raised to be people pleasers. Nope, this is not for you. Go lay down. And the dog wants my eggs. Here, take this shoe chip. Here, that's for you. Go, go. Um, Mostly because I didn't know how to defend myself. And I was having like a little bout of spiritual psychosis. Well, but tasty bit. But it was mostly the not knowing how to defend myself. I would stand up for myself, speak up for myself, really, because I didn't do that. Like, I've been talking openly about who I am as a starseed, who I am as a spiritual being, who we all are, who we are here to be, who, the message that Yeshua was here to teach us, that, he was here for a way of life, not to create a religion around worshiping one person, along with blood sacrifice and fear, control, shame based existence, you know, all the stuff that doesn't make sense about a benevolent, all loving God, unconditionally loving creator. And that is, the whole point, that we're all each a piece of God, we're each a piece of the universe. We are sons and daughters, all of us, of, you know, of God. And they say the Son of Man. Yes, we're talking extraterrestrials. Humanity has been upgraded by extraterrestrials since the dawn of time on Earth. Go up here, buddy. I need you to stay in here while I'm cooking, please. You being under my feet while I'm recording and cooking is dangerous, huh? I had to put the dog in my bedroom, which I'm living in a camper. So, but when I say bedroom, I'm talking about like 10 feet away with this little accordion door over it, which I'm sure is doing so much. He's going to bust through it in a minute. I have a husky named Storm. Who's a dragon also on our home planet. Right. So this is the stuff that my ex is like, you're fucking crazy. And I'm like, well, there's a whole bunch of us out here now talking about it. And there's literally like entire networks of television and streaming channels focused on it. And like, this is the truth. This is where we are. And sorry, I got distracted making the eggs. This is this is sometimes what happens when you are starseed coming out of PTSD with ADHD and OCD, and you're trying to multitask. This is what happens. My apologies. And I know I shouldn't be multitasking all the time while I'm making the podcast, but um, sometimes I can't help but move, especially when I'm talking about this traumatic stuff. That's the other point. Like, you have different ways of being able to get it out. Um, but we've all basically been traumatized by being put in the wrong gender roles. Teaching our girls to be constant people pleasers and teaching our boys that they can't have emotion, that they can't um, feel, that it's, ow, that spoon was hot. I left that in a hot pan. That feelings are not appropriate. They need to be strong. They need to be stable. They have to be the man of the situation. They have to set an example for, their families or whatever, and be the rock and be the pillar, and like not letting our little boys show emotion or have feelings has created this generation on generation of, I'm gonna turn this down, of, I'm gonna say, mama's boys, because they've been catered to by their mothers because we've taught our women to be people pleasers and stand by your man and you take care of everybody else instead of yourself. And if you take care of yourself, everybody's going to judge you for taking care of yourself and call you selfish because how dare a mother actually take some time to make sure that she is okay. That's really what we've developed in especially America. And the devotion to work, the devotion to the white picket fence, and everybody needs their own car, and everybody needs a full closet of clothes, and everybody needs all these jewels. Like, it's materialism in excess. And what is that? Trauma. It's trauma. Why do we have more than we actually need or want to exist? Because we're compensating for something else. It's trauma. And nobody will recognize it at that as that because we're calling it the American dream. So we've raised all these little people pleaser women who won't take care of themselves. We've raised all these little king of the castle men who think that providing the white picket fence and the dream life is their only responsibility and that they get to control everybody as a result of that as well is how we've all ended up angry and jacked up at each other. Right? This is how we are out of balance and how we are not at peace. Women, we are created to be nurturers. We are created to be loving. We are created to be these spiritual connectors and guides for our family. I'm not saying that men aren't spiritual. That's not the point there. But it is women who have a portal to the divine in their bodies, and that's our womb. We are the creatrix of life. Like, yes, we can't, the, well, we can actually self manifest pregnancy. Sorry, I'm taking a bite of this lettuce because I did it. Mm-hmm. That's good. I haven't talked about that yet. Uh, I actually got downloads earlier in my spiritual ascension that my second pregnancy, I manifested myself. Women can actually manifest their own pregnancies if their partner is not producing properly, etc. So, anyway, women are these spiritual guides for the family. We see patterns, we see a vision. The dog's breaking out from under the accordion door right now for our families and should be respected enough to implement those visions and work with a partner who's a teammate who can share a vision for our family and help provide it. Men are on the 24-hour hormonal schedule. They want routine. They're built to be providers, to be in a routine, to support, but also in an emotional, loving way, not in a dictatorship of I get to be the leader of everything. You're leading together. But if you provide each other with a safe space to exist and support and communication and trust, you know, you- your feminine will trust you to lead in the capacity that you are leading the family instead of trying to take everything over and do it ourselves. What do we tell our husbands now when they don't do the things we like the way they like it? Just, I'll do it myself. Now, I, however, was in a relationship, and this is coming back to sexual dysfunction I talked about in the beginning, because, again, we're imbalanced in our energy. So when women are stuck in their masculine energy, our sexual needs are off. When men are stuck in their feminine energy, their sexual needs are off. I had husband who constantly wanted me to pursue him and didn't want to have to pursue me. And I was in a constant situation of feeling completely unwanted because I had a husband who didn't pursue me. In addition to the fact that I married somebody who didn't take care of himself properly, we didn't have intimacy and in our relationship, physical intimacy, like kissing, hand holding, all that good stuff. Um, and despite my communications, those were things he still chose not to focus on or not to do. He was a dipper and constantly had a dip in his mouth, like 24/7. And so we didn't kiss a lot because it was gross, or my mouth would be numb. And ugh. So, but that was something he chose to not change. Mm. But I was rude and condescending for even wanting him to change that. And I mean, granted, I was a smoker for a long time too. And he would communicate that he didn't like that I smelled, etc. Again, top meat kettle. So what did I do? I would start putting on a sweatshirt when I would go out and smoke. I would come back in and wash my hands with soap and water. Half the time I brush my teeth. Sometimes I brush my teeth, not all the time. But I would at least try to make an effort to do something to diminish the part of it that he didn't like. But I never got that same respect. I never got that same, yeah, respect, loyalty, honor of, hey, my wife doesn't like that I do this and it's actually affecting our physical relationship, our emotional relationship, and I'm going to work on changing it. I didn't get that. I got, stop telling me what to do. You're being condescending. I do what I want. I had a man child. I had somebody who was constantly offended by me trying to give constructive criticism. Now, granted, I wasn't always perfect myself because I had my own trauma, but I personally, throughout my entire life, have always had this ridiculous ability to give other people the benefit of the doubt that they aren't willing to give me. And that's part of my fatal flaw. And that is part of the fatal flaw of most of pretty much all the star seeds. We have the ability to love unconditionally in a way that other people do not. And it hinders our development. It has put us in situations where we are victimized over and over and over and over again because we fall into these patterns and we don't know how to stop it. And that again is the psychological manipulation where we don't learn how to change it. It's learned behavior. Our sexual dysfunction in this country is learned behavior. I'm going to pause here to take a bite of this salad. It was 22, 22, 28 on the timer when I paused that. While you wait for the podcast to continue, please hear a word from our sponsors. Tonight, our sponsor is me and the salad that I made up in the kitchen. And it is delicious. I have to say, it's something I've been craving lately. And again, when you eat intuitively, our salad is good. It is mixed kale, carrots, zucchini, blueberries, blackberries, over easy eggs, two over easy eggs. And then I made a dressing out of Dijon mustard, balsamic vinegar, avocado oil, this like chili lime sauce, and I usually put maple syrup in there. I'm out of regular maple syrup right now, and so I put this like apple cinnamon syrup in it. And it is, I know it sounds kind of funky, but it was delightful. So, eat more vegetables, cook stuff at home. I thought I was just making some eggs, but homegirl made a whole damn salad, and it is good when you eat intuitively. Like, I just started making it It's your body telling you, put this stuff in it. Cravings necessarily aren't. Mm, I'm going to take that back because some stuff you crave is your body saying you need this. You have a deficiency in something and you really need this right now. So I had a deficiency in greens, maybe. Mm-hmm. Yes, I just answered myself in live food. Mm. I'm sorry I'm chewing in your ear, but I hope you're enjoying this word from our sponsors. Okay, that was the last bite. I'm gonna take a swig of water and sit back down for you. Mm. So, also, the whole point of contention here is my ex and his family are mad because I questioned the basis of their faith, not their individual faith, but the basis of their religion that they follow. Because religion is just an organized farce to keep us in a control-based system. Again, that's the whole point. Oh, I forgot my bee pollen. I'll put that in my tea. Bees are the basis of everything. And this is what we come back to. Sexual dysfunction is learned behavior. It all comes back to the birds and the bees. Right? Right. Right. I keep saying right like somebody's going to answer me. I just hope you understand that's me trying to reach through the void and connect with whoever is listening to me right now. Um, so, learned behavior. I personally, and I know in my family, the girls have been taught, learned to be try food for abusers, served up silver platter by my mother. And guess what? She did it to me because that's what was done to her. That's what was done to her mother. Women were commodities. We were what, the cows. Why buy the cow when you can get the milk for free? Right? My grandmother grew up, you didn't get the milk for free. You bought the cow first. Well, in this day and age, everybody's getting the milk for free first. From, in my case, I was a wild fairy spirit. Uh, and then once you get the milk, you change the cow. We changed the cow. Okay, we changed the cow, and then we got mad at the cow for wanting to go back to how they were before. I was a free spirit when I met my ex. I was getting out of a narcissistic relationship. It was actually a big old um, karmic loop test for me. And as you can tell from the divorce I'm going through, it didn't do so great, did I? I stayed 12 years in a situation that was a karmic loop I was intended to get out of. But you know what? Everything is divine timing. So we're waking up when we're supposed to. Waking up when we're supposed to. Um, so yeah, we were served up on silver platters as prey for narcissists and men in general, because men have been taught to value us for what we can provide. And when you stop providing the things that they've become accustomed to, they get mad, right? Especially when you got a mama's boy who's used to you doing everything for them, including like to the point where I can't eat unless you make it and put it down in front of me. Like, I'm sorry, man, but if you're putting your women in a situation where it's like, I can't even take care of my basic needs without you doing it for me, and if you don't do it for me, I'm going to blame you for it. How jacked up is that? That's so not cool. Not cool at all. That's what I lived through. And many of us have. Like, do you feel like that mom that wants to break out? Like, nobody knows who you are anymore. And you just wish somebody would see you for, the fun person, the loving, like, free spirit that you used to be. And yeah, they changed the cow. Then they got mad at the cow. You can't force me to be a different person because I became a mother. And that's ultimately what it boils down to. I've been saying that phrase a lot. Boils down to. Um, is that we put this like stigma on once you become a mom, certain things aren't okay anymore. You have to dress a certain way, you have to act a certain way. Everybody's got to get that short fucking haircut. I'm not doing it. You don't have to do that because you're a mom. You don't have to give up everything, every bit of your individuality and existence just because you become a mom. You don't have to be worried about what am I doing to embarrass my child because I become a mom. Like being yourself as a genuine parent is what you need to do. And like if you being silly and individualistic and happy and loving, like if your child gets embarrassed by that, so be it. But they probably get embarrassed by it because they had some sort of unhealthy expectation that has been presented because don't we then don't teach our kids how to behave properly. We're teaching the sexual dysfunction, we're teaching the mean girls, we're teaching that's the big thing I want to get to. We're teaching the toxic masculinity, and so then we're passing it down to our children. So I want to get into for a minute. We're talking about the sexual dysfunction affecting everybody, or imbalance in energies. Men have been feminized, women have been masculinized. Nobody is, and again, these are generalizations. I know that not every person in the world, this is the same situation for. This is for the masses. This is what I personally lived through, and I'm sharing for anybody else who has lived through it and resonates. Um, but no one's comfortable talking about hard stuff. Everybody sweeps everything under the rug. We don't talk about difficult things, and if we do, disagreement becomes division. Now, there's a difference between drawing boundaries because the people that are in your circle, like I'm done having inauthentic relationships. So yes, we can disagree on something, but you can still have healthy conversation. You can have healthy debate. You can have plenty of other things that you agree on and get along on. It doesn't mean just because you disagree with someone, you have to completely separate from them. However, if we're talking your disagreement means that they are trying to change the way you handle something or respond to something. Like, for example, I went on a bachelorette party during our divorce for someone, another episode of my other podcast about that. Um, with somebody who claimed to care deeply about my ex and was upset that I started talking poorly of him in front of her and that I was the one being inappropriate. And I'm going to go back on this with I've been in a relationship, healing generational trauma that was diagnosed with PTSD and healing generational trauma, healing generational womb trauma. Have been in therapy for years, initiating this whole process. And, my therapist, yes, indeed, she has PTSD. She's repeated this pattern in her relationships and created these unhealthy cycles. But my ex refuses to believe it. and refuses to validate my PTSD diagnosis. So he and his attorney are completely smear campaigning me, painting me out to be absolutely crazy, um, and using my medicinal marijuana prescription and my use of medicinal marijuana for anxiety and chronic pain instead of big pharma meds, which are just poison, against me to call me an unfit mother. And again, herein lies our issue that when the parents of children are willing to completely smear campaign you because they're mad and your children are the ones in the middle, that's a problem. That's abuse. And that is a perpetuation of the psychological abuse that has already existed. And that is not what Yeshua came here to teach us. I repeat, that is not what Yeshua came here to teach us. He came to teach us unconditional love. I am going to go through a few quick examples of how we are doing it wrong so that we can fix it, because people don't realize that they're doing something wrong until you tell them and come up with a plan for how to fix it. So, women not being allowed to be in their nurturing capacity leaves our children not having a nurturing mom. I didn't have a nurturing mom. She was an alcoholic narcissist, and I had to raise her. But even in general, do you see patterns in your own kids where they are worried about you? They see what you're going through. Mom, are you okay? Mom, are you tired? Like, they feel your energy. They feel that you are low and they want to bring you up so badly. And then these little beings are plagued with the responsibility of your emotional well-being. I got to check on mom all the time because she's obviously like not feeling good. She's upset about something. She's bothered. Like, they can feel you when you're off. And I would say for most of women in America that are chasing after the American dream right now, you're off because our masculine and feminine energies have been inverted. But uh, your children shouldn't have to compensate for that. Your children shouldn't have to be responsible for your emotional well being because they can tell that you're going through something. Like, it's nice as they get older to be like, oh, I'm going to ask mom if she's okay or if there's anything extra I can do to help because, I can tell she's had a long day, etc., whatever. That's nice. But you're like small child, constantly, mom, are you okay? Mom, are you all right? That That's not okay for them. My 4.5-year-old was already turning into a little people pleaser. No, I want to do it. Let me do it for you. Please let me carry this. Please let me carry that. And I look at her and she's got all her own stuff. She puts her stuff down to pick up my stuff and is like, Mom, let me carry this for you. And that's when I look at my baby and I see what the universe is trying to show me. And I'm like, no, you carry your stuff. Mommy will carry my stuff. And that doesn't just mean your proverbial stuff. I'm sorry, that doesn't mean just your physical stuff. It also means your proverbial stuff, your emotions, your trauma, your feelings. It's your responsibility to heal that for the next generation so that they're not carrying your stuff. And it goes back 7 generations on your mother's side until somebody who's willing to heal it comes along. So, people, I ask you to heal your shit before you pass it down to your kids. Because that's what I'm trying to do. My kids were already starting to show the symptoms of trauma, but highly spiritually attuned little individuals are already going to have a hard time existing in this world anyway because they're not made to. It's a matrix that is the opposite of what they're supposed to be in. Can you please just lay down? The dog is just pacing right now. It's driving me crazy. Can you please lay down? Either eat what you have or lay down. So we can't get along because nobody is satisfied sexually. Period. I'm going to repeat that. We can't get along because no one is truly satisfied sexually as sensual beings. Again, a generalization with no one. But in general, in American society, we have manipulated what sex is supposed to be. We're not in our right gender roles. We're not respecting our sensuality and our sexuality. Yes, we're supposed to be sensual beings, but we're not supposed to be what's the word I am looking for? Lusted after, but like turned into nothing but a sexual being. Like our sensuality is part of our existence. We're supposed to be living an orgasmic life. It's meant to be enjoyable. And I talked about it on one of the other podcasts when I started going through my initial awakening and really just like breaking out and getting back into art. I was in Michael's one day and literally like in the paint aisle just started having such an incredibly intense orgasm. I was like doubled over and I'm like, oh my God, I'm gonna have to go somewhere right now. I'm just having this uncontrollable orgasm in the middle of the Michael's craft store. Okay. And then it's like, was my life that sad before this moment? this is, this is what's happening. And I realized like I don't know that I have ever had like a completely fulfilling orgasm during any of my sexual experiences. Maybe one or two, but um not with somebody that fully respected me in the same way. And for women, for me personally, I was not comfortable asking for the things that I enjoyed because growing up, I was taught that that was dirty and shameful. Growing up in organized religion, Roman Catholicism, and Southern Baptist, for a woman to want to be pleasured in the bedroom is taboo, right? Meanwhile, there's Blanche on Golden Girls that my mom was like, if I'm single and old, I'm gonna be a big old slut like Blanche. And we get her two extremes. There's no like in between, right? You're either a mom buttoned up, not allowed to be a sensual being, or you're a fucking whore. Sounds fair. Sounds so fair. No in between. And in all of my serious relationships throughout my life, I have ended up being the one accused of being the bitch, being the whore. 9 times out of 10, it was because I stayed with somebody longer than I wanted to because I never learned how to stand up for myself and say what I want and not feel selfish about that or not made to feel selfish about that because my mother wanted me to be who I wanted me to be with the person I was with or the person that I was dating. How awful of me to want to break up with them. We admonish people for asking for what they want. We admonish people for asking for what they need. I just left a marriage where I spent years asking for what I needed and never got it. And I'm still being painted out like, I don't know why she left. WT fuck. Yeah, you do. Yeah, you fucking do. Don't play that game. 4411 on the timer. Anyway, it's not about digging into that at this moment. But it is about the fact that so many of us end up in unhappy relationships and unhappy marriages and sexually dysfunctional situations because we don't know how to ask for what we want, or we've been taught that asking for what we want is selfish or dirty. I mean, if we're talking about in the bedroom, because that was me big time. Being ashamed of asking for what I wanted in the bedroom. And if I did, once I got married and felt a little more comfortable, now I will admit now that I never fully opened up to my ex about all the things that I would have liked to do in the bedroom because I didn't feel safe or comfortable. And that's the problem. If you're not asking for that stuff, it's because you don't feel safe. It's because you don't feel comfortable. Your body knows, your mind knows that you're in a place that isn't healthy, that isn't safe. And honestly, I don't think my ex was comfortable asking for anything that he really liked either, other than, he wanted to be the one being pursued. And then we end up in this situation where everybody's watching porn because they can't get what they want from the person that they're with, and then they have this completely manipulated sense of what sex is supposed to be like. And then they're disappointed with the next partner because they're still not getting what they want because they have a completely manipulated sense of what sex is supposed to be like. Just a vicious cycle. And it's destroying our families. I want to go back to my grandmother at this point, who I know you're here, Grandma. She's like my fairy godmother, and kind of avenging her a little bit, like the trauma held in our hips as women that needs to be released. We've always had a very hippie family, and she never pursued her dreams because she followed her husband to another state, didn't have any support from, friends or family while they had moved away. And she wanted to sing. She was a performer too. She loved country music. She used to listen to all of her little tapes everywhere. I love you, Grandma. But our grandmothers, our mothers, they taught us this because that's what they learned too. My mom went through something very similar as far as I did, being a sexual being, sensual being with her husband, and then all of a sudden my dad's family gets into it's a cult. It was a pre-Vatican Roman Catholic Church, but I'm going to say cult. Yeah, you heard me. Go ahead. Sue me, Catholic Church. You're a fucking cult. They say call your dad, you're in a cult. My dad's the one that got us into the fucking cult. So she became the whore. Literally, the priest told my dad, you shouldn't be living as man and wife because you have both been married before. Your marriages weren't annulled. She's not Catholic. Your marriage isn't recognized as valid in the eyes of the church, and your kid is a bastard. Awesome. That's going to make someone feel really good about themselves, right? Okay. No wonder there were psychological issues. And granted, my mother had been through years of abuse prior to that. She had an abusive husband, and when she finally got the gumption to leave him, my grandparents didn't believe her. My grandmother stayed friends with him for decades, and like just the hurt that was in my mom related to that. I know this because it was passed down to me in my fucking DNA. And You feel it. You know it. You feel it when what is happening? Oh, is this cracked or my rose oil is literally just like leaking out of the bottle right now. Okay. We're gonna anoint with a little rose oil. Oh, isn't that sweet? My boo sends me, I'm on a twin flame journey, sends me gifts, sends me flowers all the time randomly. Um, he just sent me some roses. Now we're anointing with some rose oil, also in this portal energy roses. Very good for self-love and self-care. And I'm rubbing it all over my aerial tattoo that's on my arm right now because I'm finally using my voice and speaking out against, the stuff that has happened. I'm being persecuted the way my father was. I watched my mother force him into poverty and put him in a situation where he literally spent his life working his fingers to the bone because he couldn't take care of himself and house and alimony and child support and all these things that are literally put in place to be a burden to people. Like this stuff, none of this stuff was really ever supposed to exist. Golly. But here we are. Here it is. So, mom and I were both traumatized by the Catholic Church. And she was also an alcoholic, which was really, I think, the crux of it, and overweight after she had me. She never took care of herself again. And there were a lot of factors involved in their separation and their divorce, but she felt it's because you're not attracted to me anymore. It's because I'm angry all the time. Like, she couldn't fully grasp why in the world this would have happened. And again, it's karmic energetic return, but that was a doozy, if I do say so myself, when that split started happening. And she was so angry. She just punished him for everything. And that's what's happening to me right now. And I just grabbed a candle to light and didn't realize that it's actually it's a spirit candle. It has witness wood from ooh, um, Lincoln's procession through Gettysburg. And it is rose petals scented. So, so I can say that my marriage was sexually dysfunctional from the beginning because that's what it was based off of in the beginning. And then that was taken away because my ex went through the spiritual awakening and decided that sex before marriage was wrong and that we shouldn't do it anymore. And then I felt like I was being punished and being told I was dirty and wrong for wanting a sexual relationship. I was literally like the succubus for you wanting or desiring a sexual relationship is such a sinful thing and you're pressuring me and you shouldn't and it's like I wasn't pressuring him. I was trying to communicate to me how that felt hurtful because it had previously been such an important part of our relationship, and to suddenly want to stop and say take that away and say no, and not only take it away but say that because I still wanted that part of our relationship to exist, that there was something wrong with me for that. There was nothing wrong with me. There was everything wrong with the organizations that we were involved in, the society that surrounds us and puts us in these places and these positions and these thought patterns. So We're like almost right at an hour now, and I'm feeling like this is kind of like a part one of this situation, the sexual dysfunction in America. And then we're going to get into a part two. And in part two, I am going to dig more specifically into one, how we treat each other as women and how that also puts us in situations where we end up making sexual decisions um, that we wouldn't otherwise make, or that we're not supporting each other in the manner that we portray ourselves to be doing. And I'm also going to talk about rape trauma, which is triggering, and how that comes down to my children and how it affects how we take care of ourselves. So, thank you for listening to me ramble for this initial episode talking about our sexual dysfunction in America and how it's keeping all of us from ascending into higher beings. Well, not all of us, but it is a major factor that is holding people back with regard to becoming their full self. So, thank you for joining me, and stay tuned for part two. Ooh, that was a doozy. But you know what? We got to talk about the stuff that's important to America. That's why I'm talking about this, because the state of our country matters to me. My children are going to live in it, and I want to make sure that it is a beautiful place for them to be. So, thank you for listening, and stay tuned for part two. But also remember, trigger warning for part two. We're going to be discussing um, rape trauma and the instances, the experiences that accompanied those situations. So if that is something that is super triggering to you, now I will not go into like massively graphic detail. That's not what this is about. It's not about providing all the gory details of what happened. It's providing the surface level, not surface level. Details are important, but it is providing enough of a picture that you need that still gives me, ooh, a healing spot. But I think we need to give the key to the armor. Yeah. All right. Thanks for being here for part one. I hope everybody has a glorious day and or evening wherever you are, whatever you're doing. And if it's not a glorious day or evening, then say, fuck you, weather. Tomorrow is a day to be better. Oh, I like that one. Hmm, who would have thunk it? So take care of yourself. Take care of each other. That's what we're here for. Love, light, and a little go fuck yourself if necessary. Period. All right. Love you guys. Talk soon. Stay tuned for part two. Bye.